podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for frame rate is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of Frame Rate is brought to you by the new Squarespace. Squarespace introduces a new content management system, making it faster and easier to create a high-quality website or blog. Plus, more than 50 new features, including mobile responsive designs. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase, go to squarespace.com and use offer code FRAMERATE9.
Trust on the line, it's risky, people love to tear that down, let them try, do it anyway, risk it anyway, and if you're paralyzed by a voice in your head, it's the standing still that should be scaring you instead, go on in, do it anyway, do it anyway, there'll be times you might leave before you look. There'll be times you'll like the cover, and that's precisely why you'll love the book. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Tell me what I said I'd never do. Tell me what I said I'd never say. Read me off the list of the things I used to not like, but now I think are okay. Sometimes it's not subjective, wrong and right. Deep down, you know it's downright wrong, but you're invincible tonight, so you do it anyway. It's done. You did it.
It's Frame Rate! Creeping up on 100. Welcome to episode 93 of Frame Rate. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey, I'm Brian Brushwood, and I'm guessing that's why you said it in such a spooky voice, because we're creeping up on 100 episodes.
That is exactly right, Brian. Are you still doing your dance from DragonCon?
I am. I've not stopped, actually. This is the entire thing. I do this 24 hours a day. It's a little awkward during my live stage performances, I'm not going to lie. Especially when I attended a funeral the other day, and I just kept on rocking the dance.
I can't stop, man. I'm celebrating the life here. I'm celebrating the life.
Did you see that video this morning when it dropped?
No, I didn't. I didn't see it until you put it in the doc. So that just came out this morning, huh?
Yeah, dude. It's like, hey, you know that one thing that you love? Remember that other thing you remember loving when you were a kid? Well, here they both are having sex. Don't
watch. Because one thing I loved when I was a kid was my mom.
All right, so let's move right along. That was Ben Folds and the Fraggles, by the way.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the big story.
This just in, the big story.
So Nintendo had a big press conference last week to announce the details on the Wii U. It's coming out in November here in the United States. And one of the things that they surprised us with in the U.S. announcement was TVii. TVii. Now, we're not surprised that they're spelling it that way because they like to spell things in goofy ways. But we are surprised that it looks to me, Brian, like an attempt to be the thing that you use to manage all of your television, whether it's coming over the internet or over cable or over the air.
All right, now you and I are in a different spot because obviously you need to keep up on all these things for your show, Tech News Today. Meanwhile, I was busy on the road, I had shows, and I just see this flurry of tweets saying, hey, this Wii U may be the thing that you guys keep asking for on Frame Rate. I'm like, yeah, whatever, let's see. And I fully expected it to be spotty. I fully expected it to be like, oh, we have partner management with these guys and not these guys, and you could get most of what you want kind of when you want it. But instead, the announcement, I guess they partnered with i.TV, which already had existing relationships. They claim that they're able to give you, that they have partnerships with every single satellite and TV provider and cable provider out there to where
in the United States and Canada.
It sounds like the dream box. It sounds like what you and I have been asking for. They even show in this video, and you can see it on the screen if you're watching the video version. They partnered with TiVo, so you're able to get your DVR management. They've got they show somebody looking up a show, and they could choose to watch it on Hulu Plus for free. They could buy it on Amazon, or they can watch it live with the actual channel managing. This is it. This could be the box we want.
Do you remember all of those rumors about the Apple television and how what they would do is take in the programming from your cable company and then combine it with them, with their own programming, and it would take away the interface. And you would just say, I want to watch this, and it would give you all the options. That's what this is. Exactly. Now maybe not every single option. I don't see Vudu on there. You know, there's other services, but it does have Netflix. It does have Hulu. It does have TiVo. It does have Amazon. So it's got the majors, and they, like you said, they partnered with every cable company in the U.S. and Canada. No leaving out Canada.
Are you familiar with i.tv before this? I know that they...
I was very, very vaguely familiar with them. I have downloaded the iTV TV Guide app, and it is a very nice app for finding television programming that is airing, but I never really used it. And maybe I should go back and use it. Maybe because it seems like they've really updated their interface.
It sounds like whatever it is they're doing, it's going to be different with the Wii U. That's one of the things they said in the press release, is that they're excited to have a closed ecosystem where from the ground up they can build a universal interface. None of this app powered by so-and-so, these guys power this other thing. Each one has its own slightly different interface. Each one has its own collection of what it can and can't do. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. We've been burned on this before, but everything I'm seeing announced on this Wii U is what I hoped to see announced on an Apple TV. And if if Nintendo gets a jump on Apple TV, this would be such a Nintendo move for them to zig while everyone else is zagging. While everyone else is worried about motion controls and playing catch up on the Wii, they say, what is the one very, very simple, non-technological thing that everybody wants? They want it dead simple. Another thing you saw in there was how each individual me for the family has its own set of channels, to where I could set up a set of channels for Josie, one for Penny, one for Bonnie, and then I don't have to worry about it. They can handle everything themselves. You
know, it's funny, when they had the Wii announcement, like you said, I was covering it, watching it for Tech News Today, you know, and I'm like, okay, $300 basic set with 8 gigabytes of RAM inside, coming November 18th. That seems a little more expensive than usual. $350 for the deluxe version, and that comes with 32 gigabytes. I guess they're raising the price because they're trying to play a little toward the hardcore gamer, but I'm not seeing anything gaming-wise that really captures my interest. I'm not sure I want to buy this thing. And then they got to the TV stuff, and I'm like, that could push me over the edge, where I'm sort of ambivalent on the gaming side. I love Zelda. I love Mario like everybody else. I'm just not compelled to have to buy it for that this time. But that TV, I really want to try that TV. And one of the other things the iTV people were pointing out is that second screen is what everybody's trying to capture, but it's hard to capture it when you're using an iPad or a Nexus 7 or a Microsoft Surface tablet, because everybody uses those things for so many different things, and you can't control the experience. What they liked about the Nintendo Wii is this is a tablet that stays in the living room. It's useless outside. So you keep it in the living room, and that means that they control that interface. It's very Apple-like the way they were talking about it, but we control the system, and so we can make it do exactly what you need it to do.
Yeah, and it should be pointed out, if you watched on the main screen, they did have them watching, sporting events. They were able to see what plays just happened, and they have trivia questions that pop up. You're able to click on one side or the other. I think there's something to be said. Now, the downside is you could tell that there's some lag. This is not an iPad, nor should it be ever thought to be in that same category. You could tell as they're scrolling, it's a little herky-jerky there as it goes through. But again, if what you have is this universal, simplified interface where everybody knows what to expect from their second screen experience on just about all shows, that could be a very good thing for content creators. And this seems like it's something that, because it's so simple and because it's so unified, I could get really excited about.
Yeah, I have to say I'm holding off getting too excited because I want to see it in person. I want to see it work, or at least see some really good reviews that put it through its paces and find out a little more about it.
If they for reals have the level of integration that it looks like, I will go out and buy, even though I have a DVR with my Time Warner whatever, If I could get back to that awesome original TiVo interface that I loved so much from over a decade ago, then I think it would be totally worth it. If this could be the one controller to rule them all, then that would be amazing.
Yeah, it's almost too good to be true. So I'm holding off talking about it in too glowing of a terms, but they definitely showed all the things we've been wanting to see in one of these devices in a way that is packaged. Not just that it has all the elements. Lots of boxes out there have these different elements. They have a guide, or they have the ability to do all these different apps. But it just looks, from the video that they've shown us so far, like they made an elegant and easy to use interface. But that's why I want to try it first, to find out if it really plays out that way in practice.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and I'm cautiously optimistic, and I think Nintendo knows what they can't do. If there's one thing Nintendo's been very good at ever since, I guess really even going back to what was the one after the GameCube, is playing to where everyone else, playing to their own strength, going in a different direction. And if ITV had already done the work of the licensing, and it truly is all the channels, all the cable companies, and you really do get this awesome interface like we talk about, to where you're not remembering 8 different programs for 8 different things, this truly could be the biggest thing in the world. Because as much as I love my Xbox 360, I only use it as a Netflix player nowadays. Maybe occasionally to pull out Rock Band from the day, but for the most part, my high-end gaming I do on PCs, and I want my consoles to be beautiful and smooth and manage my living room entertainment.
Yeah, I can't wait to try it out. Let's move on to yet another big story.
Stop everything. It's another big story.
Now, those of you taking notes for the frame rate final exam, you'll notice a theme running through these stories today. Second screen. Write that down in your notes right now. Shazam, the app that recognizes music, right? This is what people use Shazam for. I'm in a bar, and I hear a song, and I can't remember what the name of the song is, so I launch Shazam, and I tell everyone to be quiet at the table, and I try to hold it up as close to the speaker as possible, and it recognizes the song, and then I know what it is. They're doing television now.
Yes. Well, and we've heard about this for a while. They've been talking about integration with advertisements, and you'll see on
yeah, and I've seen it. I've seen it on TV shows before. Absolutely.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with the ads is when a song comes on that you like, you have anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes to pull out your phone, load up the app, scroll through, load Shazam, hit tap, get your 15-second sample or whatever, and then have it find it. I've always thought it was ridiculous to try to integrate this with ads, because by the time you see it, there's no way you're going to have your phone out. You're going to open it up.
Well, but the idea, Brian, is not that you have to pull your phone out, but you're on your iPad already, right?
Yeah.
And this is for the people who are like, oh, I have my Nexus 7 in my hands right now. It'll be very easy for me to tap over and launch Shazam.
I'll tell you what, man. Well, I suspect that the number of people who have their device out and in their hand and ready to where it's easy to jump to those things are vanishingly small compared to, think about it, man, this Wii U thing happens. Think of, let's say their install base is, 10 million people or whatever. If you're an advertiser and you know for a fact that there are 10 million people who have sitting on their coffee table a tablet that's totally built into the experience they're watching on screen, to where you don't have to say, hey, open up your Shazam app if you want to see what this thing is. Instead, it just boop, pops right on there. I think Shazam's too late.
But here's the other side of that, though, is there are tons of people who sit there with a phone or a tablet in their hands already. And are those people going to want to have to put it down to pick up the Wii tablet, right? I mean, that's what Shazam and a lot of these other are banking on, is people already have the gadgets in their hand while they're watching TV. We want to take advantage of that. My problem is, if I need Shazam to launch and recognize a television movie or whatever I'm watching, and then launch IMDb for me, that's longer than me just going and launching IMDb or launching a browser and doing a Google search. Like, I don't feel the impulse to go launch Shazam.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's that again. I'm going to say that is the benefit to having this Wii U unified console experience, because you don't launch anything. Imagine you're just sitting there and all of a sudden your Wii U tablet, you don't have anything in your hands.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you see this glow pop up and you glance down and there it's saying like, hey, man, you want to bookmark this? It's a cool thing. You can get a $5 off coupon if you decide you like it. It's like that is going to be where it's at. Anything that requires the user to be proactive about receiving any kind of secondary content is going to be a problem unless that experience is built into the program from the beginning. Like either A, you have to have kind of like, all right, don't even bother watching The Walking Dead unless you have that second screen app because you're not really getting the whole story. That has to be the experience, or it has to be something where you don't have to think or do anything, and it's that Wii U thing where it pops up and just sort of shouts out at you instead.
Yeah, and it depends on how the Wii U works, right? And it depends on what I need out of it, right? I mean, because the problem is usually what I need my tablet for is checking Twitter, whether it's related to the show I'm watching or not. And everybody, all these apps out here, the Get Glue app, the Into Now app, the Olympics app, they all tried to put the Twitter feeds in. I don't care about getting the hashtag about what people are saying. Maybe if it's a huge thing like an election or the Oscars or the Super Bowl, that might be slightly interesting. But I'm more interested in what my friends are saying, and I just load my Twitter app for that. I don't need a special app. And so the other things are very direct. If the Wii U can guess what those are and put them up, like all the actors on stage are represented with an icon, and then I could just like, oh, right, what else has that guy been in? Tap, there, see it, done. That is
Think
easier.
about this, too. Think about this with the Wii U. And I'm sorry, Shazam, you used to be the big story, but Wii U totally scooped you. But think about this. Imagine if, because the Wii U already knows who all your friends are because you have them linked in for your video game friends, and it also knows when you're watching and how you're watching it. Imagine if there was a built-in kind of chat room thing where as something happened in a TV show, you could punch in a comment or a joke or a snarky thing, and it got registered to that show at that time forever. And now when every of your friends watch that same show, whether they watch it on Amazon Instant Streaming or on Hulu or on live television or whatever, they see at that exact same time code when you put it, your own snarky pop-up comment.
I guess that's kind of cool, but I can't talk back to them because they're not watching it with me. I want to be on Twitter live when when you can react and bounce off each other.
Yeah, that's a good point. Still, I got to tell you, I honestly feel like a year from now we will not be talking about Shazam and its TV integration, but we will be talking about Wii U and its unified TV viewing experience.
I'm a little skeptical on Wii U, whether it's really going to catch on and be the thing. But I think you're absolutely right about Shazam. And all of these other second screen apps, they're all motivated by the fact that the companies making them want them to succeed, not because the consumers are out there going, you know what I really wish I had right now is Shazam, or what I really wish I had right now is Into Now. People aren't saying that.
Exactly. I mean, the only exception, I'll say this again, is if you build the television show so that it's so much better with that second screen, where you feel like it's on a different level and you feel empty watching the show without it.
Yeah, but nobody is going to want to do that because it leaves out all the audience that doesn't want to use the tablet when they're watching the TV show. So it could work with a niche show. Probably a YouTube show or a Hulu show or something like that could make better use of that.
I'll tell you how you could do it. Do you remember Ronald D. Moore used to release those commentary podcasts the day after every single Battlestar Galactica came out? It caused me to watch each of those shows twice. Once when it came out live.
Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse did exactly the same thing to me with Lost. You're right. That's a good point.
Imagine if you could watch the premiere of something and have a live streaming app with the chat room on it to where you felt like you were there with the main talent and he was talking live as the show came out, giving you behind-the-scene details with everything.
Yeah, that could be cool. There could be cool added like bonus content like that. Good point. All right, let's have yet another big story, shall we? Shall we? Huh? What do you think? Brian? In?
Yeah, yes.
Tuck in your bootstraps. It's yet another big story.
Who sent this to us? Somebody sent this in.
I'll have to look it up on the if you could jump into the frame rate show at Gmail and take a look. But this came in from somebody asking if we missed it, and somehow we did miss it. I think this is a good sign of the times here. It's a Giga Home article from September 11th.
Right, I'm sorry, Brian. We never miss anything. We're perfect. And no.
Good point. I forgot. That was my mistake. I mean, that was
your intentional choice to expose the fact of how perfect we are.
This is a case where apparently people who have Time Warner cable just for their internet service but don't have television service are now receiving advertisements, and we can see it if you pan down there, Jason. You can see advertisements that are just like that are assuming that we get it. You only want internet for the Netflix, and isn't Netflix great? Well, what do you say we, Throw a little TV in there. Get nutty. Why not have a little cable? And I think this is, what was it says? The first line says, tail meet dog. Time Warner Cable is currently sending a mailer to internet-only customers suggesting they should upgrade their broadband speeds for a better Netflix experience and offering to throw in a whole year of TV as a bonus. I think this is a good sign that at least they're understanding, at least some division of Time Warner is getting the fact that people might not want this one-size-fits-all service that they're currently offering.
Hey, thanks to Graham, by the way, for pointing that out to us. It is very interesting because what it shows is the cable company at some level saying, we get it. You want the internet for lots of reasons, and one of them is watching the videos that you want to watch. And so let's play into that. Let's lean into that. And be the people who are your base for all of it. And I think that's smart. That's what we want. That's why we want more competition with ISPs. That's why we don't want anti-competitive practices from ISPs that block you from using Netflix. We want them to say, like, we would like to be the service that brings you everything, whether it's cable or Netflix or anything else.
Do you know what this reminds me of is late 90s, early 2000s, around the time when everyone was demonizing MP3s as being the scourge of music, the death of paid music. But at the same time that Sony was running all these high-profile lawsuits, another division of Sony was coming out with the latest MP3 player. And it's just like, at some point when you got a big enough institution and they have enough autonomy, people don't care what the rest of them feel like. They just want their division to do really, really well. And that's what this smells like to me, is at some level, you know, someone is like, okay, look, I understand, bigwigs, that this is our overall grand strategy. I'm telling you right now, we can get more subscribers if we admit to these particular small people that are the small group of people that this is what they want and we can cater to those interests.
You know what's going to make my P&L rise? This flyer right here. That's what somebody's saying.
I thought that was your segue into our advertisement. That was going to be amazing.
Well, actually, that would also make the Twit P&L rise. So let's thank our sponsor, Squarespace.com. The fast and easy way to create a high-quality website or blog. It has never been faster or easier. It's like taking a Ferrari and encasing it in a Lamborghini.
Or as I like to think about it, taking roller skates that have rockets attached to them, but then also adding springs to the bottom.
Actually, I think it's roller skates with springs adding rockets.
I think it's rockets where you put them on roller skates.
I think it's awesome. You know what? They sent me a little thank you note I got this morning for all the sponsorships we've done. And they said, you know, and they made a joke about, we're glad you thank us for your support on Tech News Today, even if you forget frame rate.
Is that what he said?
Yes, they wrote that in the note because of that one time that I...
I'll tell you, that's the one thing is those people at Squarespace, and this is part of the reason that they mean so much both to frame rate and to Tech News Today and, of course, to NSFW, is more than anything, they really do pay attention to when people use the promo codes. They understand that we're a community here and that because we're enthusiastic about Squarespace, it rubs off on you guys, and that you guys, tell you what, even if you already have it and you like it, go ahead and just send out a tweet to Squarespace. Let them know, thanks for your support of Frame Rate or NSFW or Tech News Today, whatever show you appreciate it on.
And they give you that kind of support 24/7 if you need it. It's so easy to use. You may never need that support at all, but they're there for you if you do, and they provide reliable back end. Your site's going to stay up no matter what happens. They're there to make sure that that site is going to load for people who are looking for it, and it is the easiest way to make a good-looking website. If you go in and you're like, I need things to be exactly where they want, you can get in there and tweak the code. But it's perfect if you don't want to think, if you're lazy like me, and you're just like, I want somebody who's good at design to make me a template. Done. Okay, I know generally I want my navigation over here and my header up here, and I want it to say that. You put it in, done. And the big thing they did with the new Squarespace is make it so that it looks right on every screen, whether it's an iPhone or a Galaxy Note or a tablet of any kind or a big old desktop with a 30-inch screen. Your site is going to adjust on the fly to look good no matter how someone's accessing it. And that's important because you don't want somebody like pulling up your site on a phone and going like, well, wait a minute, this site's all messed up, it's broken, I don't see all the things. It's not going to happen if you use Squarespace. So go check it out, squarespace.com, and use this offer code FRAMERATE9, and you'll get 10% off your first purchase. Now, that gets you 10% off the first month if you go monthly, or 10% off the entire year if you go yearly. And with yearly, you get a free domain name. So go if you're looking for a place to go, you don't even have to use the offer code. You don't have to spend a dime. Just go to squarespace.com right now. You don't even have to give them a credit card. Just start trying it out. If you like it, which we think you will, use that offer code FrameRate9 to get 10% off your first purchase. And we thank them for their support of FrameRate. I did it right. I'll hopefully never mess that up again. Let's look at the slipstream. Gosh, Google Fiber is real. 180 qualified neighborhoods. They call them fiberhoods, but I just can't bring myself to do it. And the first one's coming to Hanover Heights, Kansas, and Crown Center, Missouri, in the 2 states. They're actually going to roll out the Kansas City, Kansas neighborhoods first, then they go to the Missouri ones. So Hanover Heights, Kansas, getting it in October. If you signed up to be one of the people to bring Google Fiber to your neighborhood in Kansas City, you're good to go. They'll contact you, and you'll be on your way. If you're in one of the neighborhoods that qualified because enough people signed up, but you weren't one of them, you're in. You could still sign up. You have to wait until they announce that they're coming to your neighborhood. Then you can go sign up, and they keep adding channels all the time. And remember, it's not just internet. It's very fast internet, gigabit per second internet, but it's also a television service as well. And you can get now Cartoon Network, CNN, ESPN, TNT, Headline News. They basically added all the Turner networks. They've added ESPN and a bunch of the Disney networks. And they're also, they've got MLB Strike Zone and a bunch of others.
Hey, Tom. So this is a little bit different in that they're not just analog shooting out or even digital shooting out the channels on a fat pipe, but instead these are all channels over IP, right?
Well, yes. This is not digital cable. This is not analog cable. This is like Verizon Fios. They are bringing your television to you over the one fiber connection. So they're going to roll fiber into your house, and that's the big thing, right? So you actually can get a free internet connection if you pay them $300 to roll the fiber into your house, or you can sign up for their monthly service, which gets you the gigabit per second, gets you the fastest internet and the TV, and that is no setup charge. They'll waive the setup charge because you're going to pay them, I think it's $70 a month for that.
Now, is that, you remember that there was this, we had a story a few months ago. Is this precedent the reason why that one website that did a Christian television channel felt like it could entitle itself or sign up as a Discovery rebroadcaster?
What? No, I don't think it has anything to do with
I mean, no. Is the precedent of delivering content over IP why that one? I guess
because this is not IPTV like YouTube, right? This is not like that network that you're talking about that wants to do Discovery over the internet. You have to sign up for the Google ISP to get the Google TV. So in other words, this isn't a Google TV over the internet package where I can have Time Warner ISP, which is, I think, the local one in Kansas City, but then sign up for the Google TV. It's not like that. Even though it is delivered over the fiber, it's a separate service.
Got it. And Bill Meeks remembered for me it was the Sky Angel. That was the story.
Thanks, Bill. Yeah. So it's different than that. It's kind of silly because it's really not different. It's coming over Internet Protocol to your house. But it can only come if you've signed up for the Google Fiber Internet. And Verizon Fios is the same way. Right. And AT&T UVerse is the same way.
I guess now, see, looking at all these delivery services where they deliver it over fiber kind of makes me, because I know that we felt like Sky Angel's argument was a little bit hinky when we talked about it a few months ago. But now that I'm saying, I'm like, well, how is it so different?
But the difference is I don't have to have any particular ISP to get the Sky Angel service, right? It's like Hulu, right? It doesn't matter what internet service provider I have. What Google is doing and what Verizon and AT&T and all these others do is say, we will deliver this video to you if you use our internet service provider because we're sectioning it off from everything else. So even though it comes over the same pipe, it's not the same service. It's not internet service. It's delivered directly from the Google head end to you. Right. And we can get in all kinds of semantic arguments about whether that's actually different or not. But the fact of the matter is, no one else on the internet can get it.
Correct. Yeah. All right. I totally see where you're coming from now. I guess we should mention PlayStation 3's Hulu app is upgraded with the first to deliver the new experience. Tell me about that.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. So if you've tried Hulu lately, I've been watching the booth at the end, so I've been enjoying the new interface. It's a little, I have to say, I didn't think it was that different when I first saw it, but I'm finding it easier to use. It takes me seamlessly into the next episode. It's got nice, bigger tiles, and that is now rolled out on the PS3. So if you're a Hulu user on PS3, you probably already know this because you've seen it. But if you've got the PS3 and Hulu and you haven't looked in a while, you might want to check it out. I believe it's probably got even more benefits for somebody using a 10-foot interface than just the lean-in interface on your laptop.
We, I guess as long as we're talking about this, I think we missed it because it was right during Dragon Con, during that 2-week gap when we were off the air. But Steam recently rolled out their big screen interface that where it even has a version of a keyboard that's all built around the 4 buttons of your controller, to where you would hold down like X, the top button, and then scroll up, down, left, or right to choose one of the letters. So it's interesting to see more people trying to crack that nut to make a simple interface for more complicated data entry in the living room.
Of course, the Steam thing is just for video games for now.
For now, yeah, sure.
Also in Hulu land, but also HBO Go and Max Go apps for iOS. So if you've got an iPad or an iPhone, this applies to you. Updated for support of closed captions.
Yes, and I'm the only guy I know who's in love with closed captions. If you're someone out there who's like me, like I put on closed captions, and I hear perfectly well, as far as I know, as far as I'm told. My wife might disagree with this, but I just hate being distracted, or maybe someone says something off screen and you think it means one thing, and then a few minutes later you're like, oh wait, I guess that wasn't what they said. Oh, I get it now. Like, I hate that kind of ambiguity, especially on shows where they have an accent. It was started with Flight of the Conchords because they have those thick New Zealand accents. I'm like, screw it, I'm going to put on closed caption. And it made the show so much better because I got every single joke and didn't miss a one. And then still forward, I still use it for like Game of Thrones because a bunch of people have these thick Westerosi accents sometimes, and it's hard to know, or you think they're saying one thing that makes no sense, and it turns out you're right. So I use the closed caption for everything nowadays. So I'm glad to see more integration.
Yeah, Brian, why can't they all speak English?
Yeah, why can't they talk normal?
I don't use closed captioning for that reason, but I can see where it would be very helpful. And we don't mean to belittle how good this is for accessibility, for people who actually can't hear and use it for the purpose it's intended for. It's a huge benefit for that.
You know what else? I also started turning it on permanently on our television because I wanted my daughter to be able to start reading stuff. So there would be times like we would intentionally turn down the volume to where we know it was below where she could hear, but like when we're on a phone call or something, but it would force her to start reading as well. So
okay, I'm glad you said like when you're on a phone call, because I thought you meant you just like slowly, without telling her, we're like making it like quieter. She kept moving closer, and you just kept making it quieter.
I just sit there and tease my daughter. I'm like, what? Oh, you want? No.
It sounds normal to me. I don't see it getting lower. Is your hearing going? Speaking of being a troll, Apple kind of trolling YouTube here? I don't know. Okay, so the background is Apple and Google's agreement for apps that are built into iOS ended, which means that, among other things, the YouTube app is going away in the next version of iOS, iOS 6, which is actually coming out in a few days. So that meant that Google had to make a YouTube app of its own that's independent, and they have. You can now download the YouTube app from iOS and install it separately, and it's a much better app. Now that they have control over it, they're able to put a whole lot of things in there. Of course, one negative is now the pre-roll ads work, but that's good for YouTube because they make money.
Sure.
However, in the App Store, Apple does these collections now to promote editor's choice picks, and they have one called TV Time. And when you click through, it gives you different, like, oh, here are some tools for TV, here's some TV guides, and here are sources of video. You go into that one and you find Hulu and you find Netflix, but you don't find YouTube.
Now, do we know when the last time this collection was updated? Could it be that the last time it was put together was before YouTube even dropped off? Because that's what? That news is only a month, 6 weeks old?
Well, the news is only a month or 6 weeks old. Apple and Google have known that their agreement was not going to be renewed for quite a long time. In fact, long enough for Apple to build an entire Maps app to replace Google Maps in iOS. So this is something that Apple has known about for a long time. Maybe the folks who run the App Store promotions haven't known about it for a long time, and maybe they put together this TV Time promotion long before the Google YouTube app was submitted. So even if they knew the YouTube app was leaving iOS 6, they may not have known that a YouTube app was going to be approved in time for this. Those are possible, but a lot of people are pointing out that this is interesting.
I mean, let's face it. This would not be the most outrageous sniping that we've seen between the two companies if that were the case. So it could be a genuine snub.
Yeah, it could be, or it might not be. Either way, the YouTube app is being downloaded in the thousands and thousands, so it doesn't seem to be hurting Google anyway, even if it was. And then Spotify getting into the TV game. Spotify is a music subscription service, if you're not familiar with it. Allows you for free to play a bunch of music, and then with a subscription, you can play an unlimited number of tunes anywhere you want on your mobile devices, et cetera, et cetera. That's one of the big ways that they're making money off music these days. Now it looks like there's a rumor that Spotify might partner up with HBO Nordic to provide TV subscription service.
Tell me if you've heard this one before, Tom. There's a unmet demand worldwide where people want to consume a particular medium in the way they want, however they want, and to pay for it in the way they want. Spotify meets the demand, but only in Europe. And the U.S. clamors for this for a really long time, and then eventually it comes to the U.S. as well. Sound familiar?
No, I'm not getting it.
You don't see the parallels between HBO Nordic and maybe what Spotify's already gone
No,
through?
it's absolutely the same thing, right? In fact, one of the things that struck me when you were saying that was it's like Spotify itself. Spotify started in Europe and was considered to be, even though we had subscription services like MOG and RDO over here in the United States, everybody was clamoring for Spotify music to come to the United States.
Eventually, we all moaned loud enough and it actually happened. So you hear that? At HBO Go on Twitter, I think.
Just moan. I don't know if that's going to work.
The zombie internet. What if we have a whole zombie internet day where everybody does nothing but just spam HBO's Twitter accounts with
I think that's really going to annoy the people in charge of social media at HBO. I don't know if it's going to actually change their business plan.
And then what we'll do is we'll get an executive from HBO. We'll book the interview. We'll be all excited. We're like, oh, we're really excited about Nordic. And then we start doing the interview. And then no matter what they say, you and I just go,
just troll him. Yeah, they'll never come on the show at all now that we've thrown that out there. Not that they would have before. I think this is actually a positive step, to be honest. Like, it's just a rumor. We don't know if it's true. But the idea would be a positive step. And it would make sense if HBO Nordic said, you know what, we're not only going to have an HBO Go type app, we're also going to partner with Spotify. So if you authenticate as an HBO subscriber who paid for the HBO Nordic service, you can actually get it through your Spotify service. I think that'd be good for Spotify and HBO.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it's fantastic.
All right, where are we at now? Shall we move on to the tube tops? Just one tube top to talk about today, and you have to be a Kickstarter backer of Simple TV to actually get the details, and I don't have my laptop plugged in, so I apologize, I can't show you the screen. But they gave us a shipping update. It looks like Simple TV should be out the door by October 1st, so if you were a backer of Simple TV, you should be getting it by October 1st, and that date may shift still, but they're looking pretty confident about it. Simple TV, if you don't know, is a box that connects to an antenna, and then for $5 a month, unless you're a backer, you get your first year for free, but for $5 a month provides you a guide that allows you to have DVR functionality, and then you can view it over the Roku. So it's a way to take over-the-air broadcasting and integrate it into other systems. The Roku's the first app that they've got, but they're working on a bunch of different apps to say this is the easy way to take your over-the-air viewing, record it, manage it, and watch it in the box system that you're going to use.
You know what I thought was an interesting aspect of this reminder was where they subtly reminded you of the way Kickstarter works, because they put the word bought in quotes. It says essentially you've already bought Simple TV, and then they remind you technically you donated and we're rewarding you with a gift, which I wonder if that's something that Kickstarter's been hammering them on, or if that's something that a lot of people don't pause to think about. Like, part of the reason you get all these things cheaper when you buy in advance as an initial investor is you're not technically buying anything. You are investing, and upon successful completion of the product, you will be rewarded with these gifts.
Well, yeah, because they actually don't necessarily have to fulfill them. All right.
Yeah,
if I buy a Simple TV, they have to either refund my money or give me the Simple TV. But I think what the line they're walking, and I don't know if Kickstarter beats people up about this or not, but they probably should, is you gave me money so that I could try to do this. If I don't, if I fail, you lost your investment. And there's a lot of stories about whether that could be used for fraud and what you do in the case of somebody who intentionally did that to steal your money. But as long as they're making a good faith effort, if the product doesn't ship on time, you don't have any recourse. But that's a Kickstarter thing. And it looks like Simple TV is hitting the mark here.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I just think it's interesting because we're all caught up in the euphoric stage of Kickstarter's magic money machine, where it makes dreams come true, or at least the promise of them come true. But I think it's interesting where we've started to hear a few stories of things that haven't worked out, even though it looked very good at the investment phase, where I'm curious if that's a Kickstarter reminder or a Simple TV reminder of, just remember technically the way all this goes.
Oh, I think it's both. And like I said, I don't know if Kickstarter gets out there and pushes you, but if you're a responsible Kickstarter developer, then you're going to walk that line yourself because you don't want to court trouble. You want to remind people of that. And the cool thing about it too is you get other advantages. So assuming Simple TV is going to ship October 1st, like they say it's going to ship, when you get it, you get that guide service for free. Now, if you get a TiVo, you have to pay for the TiVo service. You get a DVR through your cable company, they charge you a little extra for the DVR guide service. Simple TV is doing the exact same thing. They say for $5 a month, we'll allow you to use the guide service we provide to schedule your recordings. If you don't want to pay the $5 a month, you can do manual recordings only. But if you're a backer who backed us early, you're going to get that first year of the premium TV service for free.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to this. I can't wait to try it out. Although, Brian, given what the Nintendo TV service, does that change the way you feel about Simple TV at all?
Yes. No, I'm telling you, man, I'm fully on board with the promise. Look, on the one hand, you got a Kickstarter level promise from Simple TV. On the other hand, you got a Kickstarter level promise from Nintendo. And I know one of them has a track record of delivering product to me that is exactly what I hope it turns out to be, or even better most of the time. And Nintendo usually over delivers. So I'm more excited about the Wii U than anything else right now.
Well, if the Simple TV was in your hand already, like forget about whether it ships, etc., and did everything it says it is going to do, and the Nintendo TV service is in your hand, it does everything, which one do you like better in concept?
In concept, it's got to be the Nintendo one because even though, I mean, understand, I love the promise of being able to set up an aerial antenna and getting all my programming for free that I care about, but I feel like Darth Vader at the end of Jedi was like, it's too late for me, young Skywalker. It's like I'm too embroiled. I got kids who expect their Disney television, And Wii U, I'm still stuck setting fire to $100 plus a month, but at least Wii U will fit into that ecosystem and at least give me the anytime, anywhere aspect that I'm looking for.
So in the end, you're blaming Mickey Mouse.
Yes, and Darth Vader, and George Lucas.
Right, and George Lucas, whom is at fault for all sins, according to most fanboys that you talk to. Let's move on to Film Fact. Not much going on in the film world. I feel like the Apple and Kindle announcements and all the phone announcements kind of sucked a lot of the press release type things that we usually see. Also, the TV fall season starting. So essentially, we know everything that's coming there. We're in a little bit of a dead zone for things to watch on TV. One thing that did catch my eye, Wall Street Journal talking about Twitter affecting the writing room, which is why I put it in Film, because Film is the section all about the things you watch. And this article from the Wall Street Journal says that certain shows are really starting to pay attention to what people are saying on Twitter and adapting their shows to suit. USA Network has a drama called Covert Affairs, and they actually put a scene in the final episode of the show's second season to respond to questions on Twitter about whether the lead character would regain his lost eyesight or not. They use the Vampire Diaries as another example of where one of the vampires went into a house uninvited, and everyone on Twitter exploded like, hey, how can that be? And they were going to explain it in the next episode, but then had to cut it from the next episode. But there was so much pressure from Twitter, they forced it into a later episode to be like, okay, here's how that vampire was able to do it.
Yep, and I'll tell you, I read recently another story. Kurt Sutter, the creator of Sons of Anarchy, which we'll talk about in what we're watching, because of the feedback on Twitter, because of having this instant crowdsourced feedback on the show, he was able to try something a little bit nutty in that he booked David Hasselhoff with a cameo appearance on. No, actually, it was Stephen King showed up with a cameo, and it was so wildly popular, and people had such positive things to say about it on Twitter that's why he booked David Hasselhoff with a cameo. And this season, we'll talk about it later, but Jimmy Smits is on the show, and it's so cool to get that instant fan feedback because that's what really matters at the end.
All right, let's move on to what's premiering this week.
Premiering this week! This is what's premiering this week! Check it out!
Well, first of all, I know not as many people are as excited about this as I am, but Haven is coming back to Sci-Fi September 21st.
Yeah, what? I'm sorry, that sounds like a science fiction program.
It's sort of a science fiction program. It is on Sci-Fi, after all.
I was about to say, but I'm confused as to what network it's on. This is very weird.
It's the third season of the show that's loosely based on the Stephen King novella, The Colorado Kid.
Colorado Kid, right.
Coming out in the movie theaters, we got Dread 3D.
Which, surprisingly, is getting a lot of
90% Rotten Tomatoes.
Buzz. I mean, first of all, and not to besmirch the reputation of the comic book, which is apparently very well beloved. If Ron Richards was here, he'd be holding a gun to my head to make sure I said nice things. But the Sylvester Stallone vehicle, not that great. Not that great.
Oh. If only this weren't a finger.
But it's like, but like, if you told me that there's going to be a movie that's going to be a remake of that 20-year-old crappy Sylvester Stallone thing, and it's going to be in 3D, so much 3D that it's in the freaking title, I'd be like, well, there's no way this could possibly be any good. So hearing that it's got a positive buzz, kind of makes me want to go out and check it out.
There's also House at the End of the Street, which is first of our wave of horror movies that we'll get as we get closer to October 31st. Katniss Everdeen in it, though, Jennifer Lawrence. I don't know what else. Jake Gyllenhaal's got a movie out, End of Watch. It's kind of a thriller action movie. Not much else out there that's really, I don't know. There's a lot of other movies coming out, but nothing that really catches my eye.
It's all about Dread 3D.
That's right. That's the only movie. If you see one movie this weekend, stay home and rent something.
Go see this movie and then tell us how it was, because we're not going to
probably not going to see it. Let's talk about what we are watching.
All right, hold on. Wait, Tom.
What we're watching.
Tom.
Yes, Brian.
Tom, I got
Special report.
Whoa. This just in.
Breaking news. This just got in like seconds before we went live. Gatowag sent an alternate version of what we're watching. Tell me what you think of this.
Oh.
What are you watching?
What we're watching.
It's certainly shorter. I don't know. You want to use that one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I like the other one, but we've been running it. You know, let's change things up.
We'll mix it up. Chat room seems to like it. They're all laughing about it. Hey, man, what are you watching?
I didn't realize how much television I watched this past week. I guess because I didn't travel for once or something. I don't know. But I finished watching The Booth at the End on Hulu. I only had a couple more episodes to go. There's only 10 episodes, 2 seasons of 5 episodes each. Really, really enjoying that. Can't wait to see the next season. Kind of leaves you with a cliffhanger. So I'm hoping they do a 3rd season. Been keeping up on H+. Absolutely enjoying that. Wish there was more of it.
Yeah, can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
This was the first week I almost on purpose did not watch H+.
Because you want to save it up?
Yeah, because the only reason I watched it was I was like, if Tom's watching it, I'll get caught up in case there's something we want to talk about. This, obviously, in the last couple episodes, we got the first advancement on the plot of we started to get hints as to why the thing happened and maybe what the motivations are. But I got to tell you, it's kind of too little week on week. I almost wonder if their plan, to be honest, this has me totally rethinking, hoping that they would release Arrested Development week by week. I'm now back to just give it to me all at once. I'm upset at being strung along. Now, obviously, 10 minutes per week is different from, 30 minutes once a week, but...
Well, and they said, like, we want people to watch this on their own terms. We want them to remix playlists. That's one of the reasons they're putting it out in little bits that are from different storylines, and they've started to make example playlists of their own that say, we take a chronological playlist, and here's a playlist with all of the Indian storyline, and here's a playlist with all the garage storyline. So they're actually encouraging you to wait in a way to consume it the way you want. I think they're still trying to figure out how this whole thing works, and I love that they're experimenting with that and saying, we're not telling you exactly how to watch it. We want you to figure out the best way and help us figure out the best way.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's part of why we're seeing the numbers sort of creep up because, you know, the first episode's now up to around 660,000 views now. So at least it's getting up past that respectable 1 million. But it's hard for me to recommend people dive into it yet because I don't know what it is yet. And I wonder if that's universally. You got these early adopters who are following along as it goes through the story, but they're waiting until, because like I don't want to recommend it to anyone if it's got like a chump ending and I'm all of a sudden mad that I wasted my time on it. Does that make sense?
You know what? It's funny that you use the word early adopters. Because it is sort of like a gadget thing of like, oh, you know, I'm still trying it out. It's kind of in beta because we haven't seen the whole story lay out yet. So, you know, if you're like me and you like playing around and experimenting, you might want to watch it. Otherwise, maybe hold off until some more playlists have been finalized. And yeah. It's really cool. I love the fact that they're willing to take those risks and make mistakes and have things that don't work. And they've changed things as they've gone along. They've listened to folks and said, you know what, we don't like that. We understand that you don't like that the credits have to play out until you can start the next episode because these things are so short. So we'll make it so you can skip the credits if you want to and go right into the next episode. I think that's smart.
Yeah, it really is.
I also watched Doctor Who, obviously. Doctor Who is episode 3. To me, was a little bit of a letdown. It was fine. It didn't like ruin me on Doctor Who or anything. Those first 2 episodes were so great that the 3rd episode just felt like treading water a little bit. I had some problems with some of the plot twists were a little forced, but I'm still enjoying Doctor Who. I'm still loving it. I tried Wallander. Have you heard of Wallander?
Never even heard of it. What is Wallander?
It's a mystery detective cop show out of the UK. It's based on a Swedish book, so it's set in Sweden, and it's got Hugh Grant as the main character, the detective.
Is he charmingly befuddled?
Well, he's kind of the smart cop who's having a hard time, but prevails.
Fish out of water, is he?
Yeah, he's a little bit of a rogue, you know, kind of goes his own way sometimes. But he's got a great team behind. Like, that was my only problem is, like, it's shot beautifully. It's acted fantastically. But the story just is really not predictable. I didn't guess the mystery early, but I'm like, I know all these characters and the way these characters develop. I've seen this kind of show before.
Right. Yeah, well, I can see it. Well, cool. So are you holding off? This is an early adopter thing? You're like, I don't know.
I'm probably going to watch a couple more just to see if it's all like that, or maybe that was just the premiere. I don't know. It's hard. You don't want to judge it on just the premiere.
Sure.
Also watched a couple movies this week. Goonies.
Does it hold up?
Which, yeah, it absolutely holds up. The ending's goofy as all get out, but
sure,
Twitter bullied me into watching it on Thursday night. I was actually sitting on my bed with my tablet, looking at Twitter, about to read my book, and that whole thing broke out on Twitter about, Merritt's never seen the Goonies? What's wrong with you?
Oh, that's right.
I went to iTunes. There it was. I bought it. I downloaded it. I watched it right then.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, it's nice to live in that digital impulse age, actually, tell me about the other movie, and then I'll tell you my experience.
Jiro Dreams of Sushi is a documentary about the best sushi restaurant on the planet, according to people who know these sorts of things. Not me, but like Anthony Bourdain and the like famous French chefs who rate these things. And it's all about the guy who basically is the Steve Jobs of sushi. Like, he has dedicated his life to being perfect at making sushi.
Every time he brings out a plate, he's got a PowerPoint behind the plate. Never before have you been able to have such a fresh, unbelievable, magical piece of raw fish on rice until now.
Yeah, and when you order 10 courses of sushi, you always get one more thing.
That's right. One more thing. Some sake.
No, it's a brilliant story. The guy has dedicated his entire life to making sushi. He makes the simplest sushi, but it's the best sushi. You have to reserve over a month in advance. It's incredibly expensive, but everyone who pays it and goes and eats it apparently says it's absolutely worth it. They talk about his 2 sons being part of the business and trying to bring them in. And one of his younger son had to, like, it's like an empire, right? His younger son had to leave and start his own restaurant because he wasn't in line to inherit this restaurant.
Wow.
And so he's created his own, and his restaurant has 1 Michelin star. Jiro's restaurant has 3 Michelin stars, which if you know about the Michelin stars, that they don't give 3 stars to any restaurant. It's incredibly rare.
Wow.
But anyway, just a fascinating documentary about how they make the sushi, what goes into it, what makes good sushi, how they pick the ingredients. And you may be thinking, even if you don't like sushi, like, well, how hard is it? You cut a piece of raw fish and you slap it on some rice. But watch this movie. It'll open your eyes on that.
That's great, man. So I watched, season premiere of Sons of Anarchy came out, and I missed the season premiere because for some idiotic reason, you have to know in advance what shows you want to watch and what channel they're on to set your DVR.
What is this, 2009?
I know, right? How stupid is that? So then I go, I just type in looking for it, and it pops up with the Amazon Prime. I type in Sons of Anarchy, and the Amazon Prime thing, one click. I'm like, great, one click. And I hit click, and it starts playing, and it hangs up, and it herky jerks. And then I'm like, wait, what's going on? And I go back, and I realize that number one, it's not playing right. Number two, I bought it on standard definition. I'm like, oh, well, that's dumb. Let me get it on high definition. Surely I could pay 99 cents for the upgrade, which I believe I've already done before on iTunes. I don't know if I'm making that up in my imagination or not, but nope. I end up spending $3 more after the $1.99 for the standard. So I spend $5 and it plays like 10 seconds at a time and then herky jerks. I have to take my complaint to Twitter, crowdsource a response, and then finally somebody gets back to me and says, oh, yeah, the built-in, what is it? Well, like Pepper Flash or whatever that's in Chrome. What's the special version of Flash that's in Chrome?
Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Whatever it is, apparently doesn't play well with the player. So I ended up having to boot up Internet Explorer and then re-download and start everything. And I hated it. It was a miserable experience. And you get a big fat ding on my record with you, Amazon. This is the second time. I abandoned Amazon the first time because the first time I got nailed with DRM, I bought a bunch of shows and I couldn't play them at my parents' place because this was when you had to actually download them. Now on the streamer, it's not cooperating with Chrome. However, having said all that, it was an awesome first episode.
At least it was worth it. Yeah.
It was totally worth it, especially the only complaints I have for those of you who watch the show, I won't spoil it because this won't mean anything if you're not watching the show, but I think we found the limits of the acting ability of the guy who plays Tig. Tig plays a really good creepy character, but when he's trying to express genuine emotion, it was just him yelling a lot, and it just sounded silly. Jimmy Smits is awesome on there. Jimmy Smits shows up. First scene is of him naked having sex with, well, I'm not going to say who, but it's a great show, man.
Jimmy Smits with Jimmy Smits?
Yeah, maybe. So I will say this. In previous episodes, there have been some muddied narratives that have sort of lost me at time in Sons of Anarchy, and it looks like this season they've got a flat-out straight adventure. You know exactly what you're going to get from it. You know who the good guys and the bad guys are. You know why they're paired together, and I'm really excited to see where they go with this.
All right. Before we move on to feedback, if we could just take a moment here, I would like to make an apology to Kenneth Branagh for calling him Hugh Grant.
Okay.
Earlier in the show, it's Kenneth Branagh.
Look, zoom in tighter.
Tighter
on this, Jason.
I apologize for making that mistake.
Sincerity.
Now it's become offensive. We've zoomed in so much. There we go. Okay.
Now, who are you
yes, Kenneth Branagh in Wallander. I don't know why I called him Hugh Grant. That's horrible.
Are you apologizing to Hugh Grant or to Kenneth Branagh?
Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, okay.
You know what I like Hugh Grant too. It's all good.
I would like to apologize to Hugh Grant for going through the mud like this.
Let's see. Let's check what's in the feedback.
Now it's time for feedback with Brian and Tom on Frame Rate. Oh yeah.
Taylor wrote in with a really interesting take on the movie draft, recalculating everything with the worldwide gross. We go by domestic gross, and that's how we draft. And I'll be honest, I would draft differently if it was worldwide gross than domestic gross. For instance, asterisks in the winter movie draft, I would have gone right away for in a worldwide gross. But still really interesting to see how these things would have changed. Justin would have still won the movie draft if we had worldwide. Huh?
By a lot.
By a lot. So I think that backs up the claims that Justin has that it's not just Ted that put him over the top.
No, and it definitely wasn't. But Justin still would have been in first place with $2.78 billion. But check this out. Guess who would be number two?
Brian Brushwood.
That's right, with 1.997, which reminds me of the same strategy that all my movies in May totally tanked And they were kind of surprise flops. They were all expected to do better. They were Men in Black. They were a Battleship. And apparently domestically they flopped, but internationally they did pretty well because they were still big spectacles.
Well, and they come out at different times in lots of cases, which means that, you know, they may come out during a bank holiday somewhere and do a lot better, et cetera, et cetera. So,
right.
Thanks for that look, Taylor. That's pretty cool.
Scott would have been in third place with 1.77 billion. Tom would have been fourth with 1.776 billion. Sarah would have been. Oh, wait, this is weird. He says you'd be in fourth, but he shows a score. Oh no, wait.
Yeah, they're swapped.
No. Yeah, that's weird. Look at that.
Scott is actually less than Tom, but depends on what he meant.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Could have been a typo.
Oh,
could have been a typo.
Yeah,
but,
I'd be in third. He's trying
Sarah
to ruin me.
To be in sixth. But the chat realm, he points out that himself, Taystad, would have moved up to 7th from 355th. Okay, so look, understand that's the way the game is played.
Locally, not globally, when drafting in the movie draft. Until such time as we change the rules, you gotta play. You know, stop thinking globally, Brian. You would have done so much better.
I'll tell you what, though,
you're too world-minded.
I take some small solace in this. I know it's a fake second place, and I understand that I was technically fourth. I got edged out, but or maybe even fifth. I don't know. But it feels good to see that I wasn't a complete idiot about how I selected mine.
I don't know. I think you're still a complete idiot in relation to the rules of the game.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. Hey, man, look, you will never hear me claim to be anything but a complete idiot. That's from the outset. That's my base principle from the beginning.
Lon has a modest proposal to fix the DMCA takedowns. Any party filing a takedown notice that is later overturned loses its right to post takedown notices for 24 hours. If the same party offends within 24 hours of their ban being lifted, they lose the right to issue takedown notices for 30 days. This would still allow for automatic takedowns, but the cost might get so high that publishers might employ human oversight. This would have no effect on small publishers issuing legitimate notices.
So think about this.
You know what? This is fine, but what it does is it adds man hours to fixing a problem that is made up, and it's not going to fix the YouTube thing because the YouTube thing isn't following the DMCA. The YouTube is following its own protocols. Right, the DMCA says you have to do this. YouTube is saying, but we're also going to do this on top of that. So this doesn't fix the YouTube issue because YouTube's saying, well, this isn't a DMCA takedown notice. This is just our bot checking things, and we have the right to put up or take down whatever videos we want.
No, wait a minute. So it's the YouTube's bots that do it, not Viacom doesn't have a bot running it, or?
Well, Viacom provides the definitions, right? They say, this is our stuff. And we're claiming it's our stuff, so the bot can go and put it up or take it down, right? What the DMCA provides is a framework you have to adhere to. What YouTube is saying is we're actually doing a separate thing in addition to the DMCA. So
right,
I may be wrong about this. There may be some lawyers out there that could dispute this and find a way to sue. But the way I understand it is it's not just the DMCA takedown system that YouTube is following. They're also following their own internal algorithm, which allows them to maintain safe harbor. They're like, we're not taking editorial control. We're just pulling things down based on what a partner says. And we have the right to do that because we're a private company. And then if you dispute that, we'll follow up and put it up. But that's outside of the DMCA.
Yeah, unfortunately, that entire system is skewed against, I mean, for example, Frame Rate deals with this all the time. We are a news program wherein there's fair use to show images from upcoming movies and news related to
it's gotten even worse than that, right? That's been a problem for a long time, which is you can't show fair use to the algorithm. But it's also having a problem where the algorithm doesn't know where the originating material comes from. For instance, the NASA Mars Curiosity rover footage got taken down because a news company had taken NASA's footage, put it in their news report, which is fair use, and then submitted their news report to the bot saying, we own this news report, because they do. And the bot said, oh, well, this image over here is the same as that one over there. So we're taking this one down because you say you own it.
Right. Well, so clearly, we're not happy with the current setup. There's a problem with the setup. And I guess what you're saying is neither of the two parties are to blame. It's really just it's YouTube's fault. And so under this situation,
no,
YouTube
I'm not even saying it's YouTube's fault, Brian. I'm saying that this is a convoluted system that is trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. And all it's going to do is continue to put up false positives because of the amount of video out there and the fact that the way we use video isn't consistent with a dumb bot. But YouTube is under pressure by the law and the companies to come up with a system that will allow them to continue to do business. Otherwise, you know, you're gonna have the Viacoms of the world continuing to try to sue the crap out of you. And you're going to have the actual law that you run afoul of that you're going to have to defend against. It's just ridiculous. And all of it to protect what? We still have not had anyone come out and provide some real compelling evidence that we need these laws. It's assumed that we need these laws. Anyone with common sense understands that we need these laws. But laws should actually be passed to right a wrong, not to right something that we think everybody should know through common sense.
Right, it's that preemptive strike. And we've talked, I mean, not to get political, but like that's what always worries me about a lot of laws in general. There's a lot of stuff that makes sense in the discussions. It makes sense when you put it before a vote and everyone says, oh, I think it's reasonable to ... And then you get these unintended consequences. And there's no doubt that we're in a sticky mire of unintended consequences from what was, let's give the benefit of the doubt, what was probably a well-intentioned piece of legislation when it was put out.
Is this legislation fixing the problem that it was intended to fix?
Absolutely not.
And what was that problem specifically? I mean, the problem is piracy, right?
Yep.
But we don't have DRM on music anymore, and we don't have takedown notices for music stores. And yet,
I don't see any piracy. Piracy's over. It got fixed. They passed that law, Tom. There's no,
right.
There's also no spam.
And with piracy levels, are they actually diminishing sales? Everyone says, well, you can't prove they're not, but that's not the same as proving they are.
Right. Absolutely.
So anyway, we'll get past it, right? It's just one of these laws that, unfortunately, the people who have more influence get put in place to make themselves feel better as we all go through the transition. And once the transition is done and a new generation is taken over and lived with the way it actually works, they'll look at these laws and go, those are ridiculous. Let's strike those off the books.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be illegal to tie your horse up in town anymore. Nobody has horses.
What we're trying to say is, frame rate audience, please get out there and run for Congress. That would be really convenient for us.
I will write you in. If you do. That's it for this episode of Frame Rate. I am Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood. You can find us on the web, twit.tv/FR. You can watch us live every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And you can email us, framerate@twit.tv, and say, no, here's the evidence you're looking for, Tom. Piracy is ruining everything. And we'll read it because we like to see all the sides. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Gotta go back to the dance.
And by piracy, I just want to make it clear, I'm talking about ships off the Somali coast.
Pirates.
What is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act doing to stop piracy in the Arabian Sea?
Hey, are we going to do a spoiler zone? I just feel like we'd be like ships in the night. Like, what are you going to say? Like, you would spoil it for me and I would spoil it for you.
That's the new definition of the spoiler zone. We just spoil each other.
We're like, yeah, we just described the ending of our shows. And we're like, God damn it, why'd you...
Can you believe it when he got shot at the end? Oh.